Hi, guys. Okay, so the Mueller report came out, and surprise, President Trump's innocent. He didn't collude with Russia. If you've been following me for a while, you already knew that, so it shouldn't be a surprise. I've been saying for at least a year and a half now that Mueller would not indict Trump, that Mueller was working with Trump. And when I say he was working with Trump, I don't mean they were literally working in cahoots with each other or colluding like the Democrats were doing against President Trump. I meant Robert Mueller was going to do the right thing. President Trump met with Robert Mueller before he was appointed special counsel, and I have said time and time and time again that President Trump sat down with him and probably said something like, "You're going to do a fair investigation, and if you don't, you're going to have a lot of problems because I know your involvement in uranium one, and who knows what other things President Trump confronted him with." But again, if you've been following me for a while, you knew that Robert Mueller was not going to indict Trump. And I wrote a column about how Robert Mueller and President Trump were conducting a big sting operation. And when I say sting operation, Robert Mueller was used as a ruse to let the Democrats and the deep state think that they were in control. President Trump uses Sun Tzu's Art of War, and one of the phrases from the book is appear weak when you're strong. Robert Mueller appointed all these corrupt Democratic prosecutors and investigators on his team. So the cabal was appeased and comfortable, and they thought that President Trump would be indicted and that he would be impeached. President Trump's innocent. He's always been innocent. He never, ever was not innocent. And the only way that they would be able to nail him for anything is if they created evidence and they framed him, which is what they tried to do with the dossier. But I knew that wasn't going to happen because I knew that Robert Mueller would do the right thing. And I know that President Trump met with him before he was appointed special counsel. And I know that, I don't know exactly what the conversation was, but I imagine it was something like, here's the deal. You're involved in Uranium One and all kinds of bad deep state criminal activity. So you do the right thing, do your investigation and do a fair investigation, or you're going to be royally screwed and go down with the rest of these swamp rats because you have been tangled up in so many deep state crimes, which she has been. And I don't know to what extent. So, I mean, it's just, hello, it's logical thinking. What would you do? Would you go out of your way to save the asses of people like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama? Or are you going to obey the law right now and do the right thing and save your own ass? I mean, it was so obvious. It was obvious to me that this would happen. So President Trump has been exonerated, which again, if you've been following me, you knew that would happen. And being exonerated means that the mainstream media has now been exposed. So we've had the mainstream media and these deep state actors, Brennan, Page, Carter, everyone in the mainstream media, Obama, Hillary, obviously, they have all lied to us and committed treason. And so the Mueller report has now exonerated President Trump. I know they're not using that word, but he was exonerated. He's not guilty, all right? And so I'm going to use it. He's been exonerated. And so the Mueller report has now exonerated President Trump. So we got that out of the way. And in doing so, the mainstream media has been exposed, and all these bad deep state actors who have literally committed treason, and many of them have trafficked children too, by the way, have also been exposed. So Trump's now in the clear, and these other people have been exposed. And the question that I would pose to anyone that has criticized me and has name called me and tried to claim that Pizzagate is fake, now that you know that the mainstream media has been lying to you for 2 years about the Russian collusion hoax, don't you think that there's a chance that just maybe they're also lying to you about Pizzagate? It's like, hello, people, put 2 and 2 together. I've known for years that they are full of crap and that they lie constantly, and I've known from day one that they were lying about the Russian collusion hoax. It was obvious, all right? But I worked in the media for 2 decades, and I studied the media, and I exposed the media. I even exposed the media when I was still working in the media through the New York Observer. I wrote articles in 2016 exposing how they were actually colluding to defeat Trump and to help Hillary Clinton. I wrote articles for the New York Observer. You can still pull them up. So anyways, but the average person that doesn't have the knowledge that I have, who's doubted that the media is corrupt, now that it's been confirmed that people like Rachel Maddow and Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper and all these lunatics have been lying to you about the Russian collusion hoax, and not just lying to you, you guys, these people are committing treason. These lies were an effort to overthrow a duly elected sitting president. As Sarah Sanders said the other day, treason is punishable by death. These people are all looking at the death penalty. They are all facing the death penalty, and many of them will get the death penalty. So people need to understand how serious this is. So if they can lie to you about treason, if they could frame a sitting president, an innocent sitting president, for treason, and in doing so, commit treason and lie about it, don't you think they might be capable of lying about other things? Like, golly gee, people. So I know most of you guys follow me and you're in agreement with me, but for all your normie friends that don't think that Pizzagate is real, use this as an example. For all your normie friends that seriously think that CNN is legit, that seriously think that Rachel Maddow is a good journalist, I mean, I can't even imagine that anyone would think that at this point in time. But unfortunately, there's still people sound asleep at the wheel. Take this example and say to your friends, these people lied to you about the Russia collusion hoax in an attempt to overthrow the president. If they are lying about this, you need to sit back and reconcile. You need to consider what else they could be lying to you about. And what are the 2 other topics that they have tried so desperately to cast as a conspiracy theory? Pizzagate and Q. So if they're lying about Russia, they might be lying about Pizzagate and QAnon too. And that's what I would say that you should say to your friends. Anyone at this point that still thinks that the mainstream media has any credibility or still thinks that Pizzagate is fake, you need to point this out. You need to point this out to people and say, they lied about Russia. Van Jones, he admitted on tape. Project Veritas released the tape. It's a nothing burger. He said months ago, it's a nothing burger. They know. They all know it's fake. They all know they're pushing a lie. Many of these journalists are getting paid to lie. Many of them are directly getting paid by Hillary Clinton. It's time for the masses to wake up. It's time for the normies to wake up. It's time for you to face the reality that the mainstream media is lying to you. They are committing treason, and some of them are involved in the rape, torture, and trafficking of children. So now that the Mueller report is, not the full report. The full report hasn't been released yet, but the full report will be released soon. And after the full report is released, I believe that we will see declass happen. And then after that happens, I believe we'll see mass arrests after that. But I do believe that declass needs to happen before we see the mass arrest, because declass solidifies the Spygate scandal and proves that indeed President Barack Obama and his cronies were illegally spying on President Trump and trying to frame him for treason, which, by the way, is an attempted coup. That is an attempted coup to overthrow a president. Like, that is, like I said, punishable by death. So, and again, I've been saying this for 2 years. Anyone that thinks that these mass arrests aren't going to happen, you're nuts. You're crazy. These people are committing treason. These people are trafficking kids. They try to overthrow President Trump's presidency. President Trump wrote an entire chapter about revenge. You seriously think that he's just gonna go, oh, okay, like, they're eating babies and trafficking kids and killing people on false flags left and right, and they all committed treason and lied under oath and try to overthrow my legal presidency where I was right. Actually, he unfairly won it. They did manage to stuff millions of illegal ballots for Hillary. So it was rigged for her. You think he's just going to sit back and be like, oh, well, okay, no big deal. Just, like, let them all keep roaming free and raping kids. Like, no, I don't think so. I don't understand how anyone, for 1 second, could doubt President Trump. I mean, if you doubt President Trump even for 1 minute, you do not know who that man is. You do not know who that man is. Anyways, so what else happens? Okay, so this was funny. The Nexium case. So, let me pull it up. All right. So the Nexium trial is going on, and Nexium is the group where elites were child trafficking kids. They were sex trafficking children. And the mainstream media now is finally being forced to acknowledge that they were trafficking kids. This story broke last summer. Allison Mack, Keith Raniere, and Claire Bronfman, who is the Seagram's heiress that funded this child sex trafficking cult, they were all arrested last year, and the evidence was out there that they were involved in trafficking kids. But the mainstream media didn't tell you that. I told you that. But the mainstream media, they covered that part up. Again, if they're covering up that this elite organization is trafficking kids after the leaders have been arrested, don't you think they might be lying about Pizzagate too then? I mean, are we seeing a pattern here? They cover up child sex trafficking, especially when it involves their buddies, their elite friends. Let's wake up, people. Okay, so here's a headline today. Seagram heiress Claire Bronfman faints in federal court after judge asks if Michael Avenatti acted as her lawyer. Oh, the old fainting in the courtroom. What's going to happen next? She's going to come in with like a neck brace and in a wheelchair and be in a full body cast. You know how in every cheesy movie, there's always a court scene where the guilty comes in like full body cast, or they'll faint in the courtroom. It's like, I mean, when Q said that you're watching a movie, we're really watching a movie, and the show is getting really good. So this child sex trafficking SOB, Claire Bronfman, fainted in court. Like, oh, sorry, honey, no sympathy for you. Like, who knows if she really did faint or she's just faking it because she didn't have to acknowledge that Michael Avenatti, who was the main face for trying to get President Trump impeached on CNN and all these crazy networks, is actually involved in this child sex trafficking cult. And so, anyways, faint in court, like, have fun fainting in court. Claire Bronfman. I wonder how many kids passed out while you and your pals were involved in trafficking and raping these kids. Like, you're not going to get any, faint all you want, you're not going to get any sympathy from any rational human being or any rational jury. So, like, keep on fainting, come in the courtroom in a full body cast. No one gives a shit. No one's going to have any sympathy for you. No one has any sympathy for anyone that is involved in child sex trafficking. So the reason why this is so interesting is that I've been saying this forever too. All these people in Hollywood and DC and these like heiresses and these like elitist families, they all connect. They're all friends. They're all in the same club. They may have different jobs. They may be of different religions. They might be different ethnicities, but they're all in the same club. And they all have the same goal. It's to cover their ass and to cover up what they've been doing behind closed doors. And what they've been doing is so gross and disgusting, as Q says, that if the public found out, they would not be able to walk down the streets. So it's so interesting that she fainted when the judge asked her if Michael Avenatti is one of her lawyers. And I just got another headline sent to me. NBC confirmed, prosecutors confirmed that Avenatti appeared on behalf of liquor fortune heiress Claire Bronfman at a closed-door meeting last week. Okay, so think about that. Michael Avenatti is Stormy Daniels' lawyer. He's been on CNN, I think, well over 100 times, trying to destroy President Trump, trying to destroy his family. He claimed that they would be indicted. You know, he worked hard to get President Trump impeached. He slandered him. He said that Don Jr. would be in jail by now. He actually tweeted that, and Don Jr. trolled him. He said Don Jr. will be in jail by the end of 2018. And Don Jr., I think, trolled him today and is like, oh, that didn't age well, did it? So he has been the main face, one of the main faces, trying to destroy President Trump and his family. And what's interesting is that the Anons have noticed that Stormy Daniels has a tattoo that looks like the NXIVM branding covered up. So people that were involved in this child sex trafficking cult NXIVM were branded, and with this creepy symbol. You can look it up, see what it looks like. And the Anons noticed this. I think this was last summer. I read about this, that it looks like Stormy Daniels has a tattoo that actually covered up that branding. And so what's interesting about that is there's two schools of thought. Either Stormy Daniels was in NXIVM and she's bad, she's one of the bad guys, or she got sucked into it and didn't want to be a part of it and tried to escape it and reached out to President Trump because they've actually known each other for years, and President Trump helped her escape, and now she's an informant and a whistleblower, and she's playing a role. And just to let you guys know, that kind of stuff happens all the time. That stuff is never reported, never gets out, but you would be shocked to know how many people have undercover jobs. Many do. And many people in the entertainment business and just in all areas of business have undercover jobs. So that wouldn't shock me at all. Is it true? I don't know for sure, but now we know for a fact that Michael Avenatti is tied to NXIVM, and if he's representing Claire Bronfman, unless he's going undercover too, which at this point I don't think he's a good guy. I'd be shocked if he was a good guy at this point, playing the role of a bad guy. But the fact that he's working on behalf of Claire Bronfman, they were trying to keep that under wraps, makes me think that he was in it too, that he was in NXIVM too. Is he trafficking kids too? And who else is tied to this web, this mess? Mark Garagos. So, rewind for 1 second. This is coming out. This information coming out about Michael Avenatti is on the heels of him getting arrested. He got arrested yesterday for allegedly attempting to extort Nike. And Mark Garagos, who is a horrible human being, I nicknamed him the Devil's Advocate years ago. He's represented the most disgusting, evil people like Scott Peterson, who's that crazy sociopath that murdered his pregnant wife, Lacey Peterson. That was a big case years ago. And he worked for CNN. Shocker. He was a commentator for CNN. He's been a commentator for CNN for years. Michael Avenatti and Mark Garagos. Michael Avenatti was arrested yesterday for attempting to extort Nike. Mark Garagos is a co-conspirator in the extortion case. I mean, oh my gosh, like this, you can't make this stuff up. So we have Michael Avenatti getting arrested for extortion. Mark Garagos, going down. Oh, God. Sorry, my MacBook Air just chimed out. I don't know why that happens. I need to fix it. Okay. All right. Mark Aragos, Michael Avenatti. They're both on CNN every second, and now there's direct links between at least Michael and NXIVM, which is a child sex trafficking cult. Still think Pizzagate's fake? Still don't think they're all involved? Still don't think they're all connected? Speaking about Pizzagate, yesterday it was reported in the New York Post, Allison Mack is begging for a separate NXIVM trial. And I highlighted this one paragraph and I posted it on my Instagram page. The paragraph reads, prosecutors allege that Rainier, and that was the leader, the founder of NXIVM, had sexual relationships with children and made kiddie porn. I just had to read that because it took almost a year for the mainstream media to acknowledge that they were molesting and trafficking kids. And they're only reporting it now because there's a trial going on where evidence is being presented that that's indeed what they were doing. So again, I can't repeat myself enough. If they're going to lie and cover up for the elites involved in the NXIVM organization, which was trafficking kids and doing all other kinds of crazy human experiments and horrible things to adults as well, if they're going to cover up for NXIVM, why wouldn't they cover up Pizzagate? Of course they're going to cover up Pizzagate. The people involved in Pizzagate are the same people. They're friends. They're linked. They hang out together. They fly the Lolita Express together. They go to Epstein's Islands. Hello? It's all connected. It's all coming out. Like, you just have to use a little critical thinking to understand that this stuff is real and it's going on. And it's not a damn conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory was the Russian hoax. The mainstream media, they're the conspiracy theorists, not me. I'm not the conspiracy theory. I'm just a journalist that has the balls to cover sex trafficking. I'm just a journalist who happens to still believe in reporting the truth. God, my guy friends tonight, they were texting me. I was at a store and a security guard recognized me and he said, oh my gosh, you Liz Crokin. He said he was a fan of my work, which is really cool because I'm so used to getting attacked or I've had bad encounters with law enforcement. So I get anxious when people approach me because I just assume it's some deep state actor that's going to try to kill me or harass me or something. But when I was texting my guy friends tonight about it, and they were like, oh, you're a hero. Like, what you've done is so heroic. And I'm like, that's really sad to say that because all I did was report the truth. That's what journalists are supposed to do. It shouldn't be heroic to tell the truth. I became a journalist to report the truth. Like, it shouldn't be heroic to tell the truth, but that's how far gone the media is. That's how far gone society is. That to tell the truth as a journalist, your job is to tell the truth. But we're so far gone as a society, and the mainstream media is so disgusting and full of crap and just spewing lies that I am considered a hero for simply doing what journalists are supposed to be doing, and that's telling the truth. That's sad. That's really scary that things have gotten that bad where telling the truth is considered courageous. It's sad. But I appreciate the compliment. Okay. So last week, Q was posting about Ray Chandler. And just a lot of people were messaging me, oh my gosh, have you read the Ray Chandler drops? They're so horrifying. Just so you know, I know there's a lot of new followers to Q, which is great. This isn't the first time that Q has talked about Ray Chandler. So you can go on any of the Q sites and type in Ray Chandler in the search engine, and you'll pull up the old drops on Ray Chandler from last summer. Q brought up Ray Chandler a year ago. Almost a year. It was last summer. That's when Ray Chandler first started, or Q first started talking about Ray Chandler. Ray Chandler is a woman who is the most sick, twisted, evil, demented person one of the most sick and evil people I've ever read about. This woman is, Like, it's disgusting. Anyways, she traffics children and she procures children for the elites, and she works with Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein is a convicted pedophile and child sex trafficker who owns the private islands in the Virgin Islands, Little St. James, where he was trafficking kids there, flying elites there on his private jet. Now, Q went balls to the walls posting about Ray Chandler last week. And again, Q posted about Ray Chandler a year ago. But the fact that Q's bringing it up again makes me think that there's going to be some big news with the Epstein case, because there's a new Epstein case going on right now, and they're trying to unseal the records. And from what I'm hearing, if those records are unsealed, it's going to implicate so many elites in child sex trafficking and pedophilia and actually really other horrible things that they've done to children. And it'll prove that media lied to you about Pizzagate, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and all this stuff is real. So I'm thinking that since Q brought up Ray Chandler again last week, that we're going to start seeing more movement exposing these horrible pedophiles and child sex traffickers among the elites. And like I said, I think that when some of these documents get unsealed, it sounds like the Ray Chandler is the key to exposing a lot of these other people. So if these documents get unsealed, I think it's going to implicate probably hundreds, maybe thousands of elites that are involved in trafficking children. Q said that look for Ray Chandler in the news. So I'm thinking that means that Ray Chandler is either going to be arrested and or her testimony in the Epstein case will go public. She knows everyone that's a pedophile. She knows who went to the island and raped kids, who was involved in the cannibalism, who was involved in the satanic rituals. She, from what it sounds like, had a very powerful position in these global elite pedophile networks, and her testimony, it sounds like, could bring down the house. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that she's arrested and that her testimony will go public. But we'll see. Q says watch for her in the news. I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing her in the news, hopefully sooner than later, maybe even this week. Now, another thing about the Ray Chandler posts, Q said that Ray Chandler is 100 times worse than Allison Mack. Well, Allison Mack was arrested for being involved in the child sex trafficking cult NXIVM. And her role, I believe, was procuring kids for these elites and people like Keith Raniere, which is similar to what Ray Chandler does. But Q says that Ray Chandler is 100 times worse. And I know what that means. And maybe I don't. But when Q says it's 100 times worse, I know what these people do to children. And they don't just molest them. They don't just rape them. They torture them. They mutilate their bodies. They murder these people. They play human hunting games. You know, there's rumors that there was a tape where Hillary Clinton filleted the face of a child off. To this day, I don't know if that's specifically what happened in the tape involving Hillary Clinton, but I do know there's a tape that implicates Hillary Clinton that involves sexual abuse and children. I don't know specifically what kind of torture they did to the child, but I do know a tape exists. Now, is it possible that they would fillet a kid's face? Yes. Yes. Do you guys watch the Hostel movies? Think Hostel movies times 100. These people, I mean, literally, they do the most horrific things you can imagine to these children. I talk to SRA victims. I have friends that are SRA victims, all right? I don't want to get into it because it makes me sick. I've been covering this for 2.5 years, and I have to tune all that stuff out. That's because I can't do this if I have to tune out the details because it's just too hard. Anyways, just real quickly, Q always says those that scream the loudest are the most guilty. I've been saying that forever. I think I've been saying that before even Q posted his first post. Q, stop copying me. I'm just kidding. But yeah, there's a very simple formula to figure out who's involved in this stuff or who's the most guilty. And it's the people that are screaming the loudest. So the Rob Reiners, the Alec Baldwins, the Robert De Niros, the Jim Carreys, Chelsea Handler, the people that are the most unhinged, screaming the loudest against President Trump, they're the most guilty. And you better believe that most of them, if not every single one of them, is involved in child sex trafficking, one way or shape or form. Anyways, I never intended to cover this stuff. I did not know that Pizzagate was real. I didn't even know this stuff existed to this extent until I read the Podesta emails. And there's no one that would want this information to be more wrong than me. I hate covering this. It's been horrible. I have my own personal issues from a sexual assault that happened to me in my personal life that I still struggle with and I still have PTSD from. And so to hear this stuff about what happens to children is really hard for me, and it really triggers my PTSD. But it's also kind of what drives me to do this and why I'm so passionate about it. But it's still, I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and I've been able to tune a lot of it out and put a wall up, but it still affects me. And it's still really hard for me to cover this. And anyways, Q posted a bunch of pictures of celebrities that are involved with Ray Chandler, who we know is trafficking kids. And Q talked about Nikki Hilton Rothschild. And we all know the Rothschild family is a cabal family, and they're bad, and they're involved in child sex trafficking, so no surprise there. But Q also posted a picture of Paris Hilton. And I gotta be honest with you guys, there are some people in Hollywood, it's clear as day that they're involved in this stuff, and it's very obvious to me that they're up to their eyeballs and they're guilty as sin. But then there's some people in Hollywood where I'm not so sure. And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I would like to believe that if you're born into one of these evil families, that you have free will, and that you could choose to break away, and you can choose the light, and you could choose to be a good person. So, I try to be optimistic. I'm an optimistic person, and I try to always believe in the best in people, unless I'm proven wrong. And look, you go to Nikki Hilton's Rothschild's Instagram page, which I've been studying for years now, since the stuff blew wide open, and it's just littered with the Illuminati symbolism. She uses pizza symbolism everywhere. Like she uses the MK Ultra sex kitten symbolism. It's over the top. It's obvious she's in the club, that she's part of this stuff, in one way or the other. Aside from the fact that she is married to a Rothschild, but I was really hoping that Paris Hilton was a good one, and I don't know. I don't know if she is. And part of the reason, I know people are going to give me shit for saying this. I don't really care. But part of the reason why I thought that she might have been able to break free is because if you remember back in 2000, I want to say 2004, 2005, she was on the cover of every magazine. Every show wanted her. She was on every show. She was on the cover of every magazine. Every company wanted her as a spokesperson. She was everywhere. There was no one more famous than her. And I know this because I covered entertainment at the time, and I worked for the magazines who's put her on the cover every week. And she sold tons of magazines for magazines such as Us Weekly. And just overnight, she just fell off the face of the earth. No one covered her anymore. She was never in the magazines anymore. No companies seemed to be working with her. She wasn't on TV. She wasn't doing any shows. She still was famous in other countries. She was huge in other countries, and I believe she still is. She has stores in other countries and stuff. But she just fell off the face of the earth. It was really bizarre. And if you understand the cabal and the Illuminati and how they work, they only prop up people that are willing to play ball. So I was holding out hope that she turned her back on Hollywood and said, I don't want to be a part of this. And I don't know, maybe she did. Maybe there's still hope that she did. However, the fact that Q posted a picture of her with Ray Chandler, if she was totally innocent, I don't think Q would draw attention to her. So, I've interviewed so many of these celebrities. I've hung out with them. I've seen Paris at parties. I've talked to her. She's always been nice to me. I mean, there's so many celebrities that I've hung out with, that I've interviewed. I mean, I wasn't good friends with any of them. But again, I want to believe people are good. I don't want to believe people are bad. I don't want any of this to be true. And it's really hard for me to process this. Even though I've been doing this for years, it's hard for me to process that some of these people that I was associating with could do these things to kids. It's I don't know. I've been talking with a lot of my friends that are woke and have been exposing this stuff too. And unfortunately, I think that when these mass arrests go down, I think that things are going to be way worse than even someone like me who's been researching this every day for 2.5 years thinks it is. I think I don't know. I think that's going to implicate a lot of people. And I think it's going to implicate some people that I thought were good. And I think it's going to implicate some people in Hollywood that I even thought I was friends with or was friendly with. And it is not going to be fun for anyone, you guys. It is not going to be fun for anyone. So I'm looking at the picture that Q posted of Ray Chandler in Paris. Oh my God, Ray Chandler. Man, she looks evil. You can always tell by looking into someone's eyes. I mean, there's just no life behind her eyes. Oh, Eminem. Q posted a picture of Eminem and Ray Chandler too. Again, everyone that's screaming the loudest against President Trump. Really simple formula. Like, want to figure out who's a pedo? Okay, well, go on Twitter and find out which celebrities like going F you Trump, racist bigot, and there you go. That's who the pedophiles are. Okay. It's pretty easy. There's one more thing I want to talk about. Oh, okay. And the last thing I wanted to talk about real quickly is, I'm going to read this headline. The Department of Justice yesterday released, so that would be Monday, March 25th, alleged dark web child pornographer facilitator extradited to the United States to face federal charges. Irish authorities extradited a dual national citizen of the United States and Ireland to the United States to face federal charges that he allegedly advertised and distributed child pornography on the dark web. Okay. Here's here's some connections and dots that no one's connecting, especially people in the mainstream media. I have been following all the arrests tied to child sex trafficking, pedophiles, and child pornography since before President Trump was even sworn into office. I've been tracking them since the day he won, which was November 8th, 2016. Because after he won the election, the good guys were given the green light to finally arrest pedophiles. Because before, people were put in positions of power to protect elite pedophiles for years. Okay? So, since President Trump was elected, we started seeing pedophile rings being broken up before he was even sworn in. And I knew that would happen. I knew Trump would do this. I knew that he would go after the pedophiles and save the kids. I knew that. And he did. And he started doing it immediately after he was elected, before he was even sworn in. After he was sworn in, I started seeing a pattern with President Trump. Often, when President Trump meets with a foreign leader, within a few days of that meeting, there will be a child sex trafficking bust that's tied to that country in the United States. Okay? So this has happened with Saudi Arabia. This has happened with Germany. Where else has this happened? This has happened with the Philippines. I've noticed a pattern. If you don't think that President Trump is in these meetings with foreign presidents, foreign leaders, and saying, we're going after pedophiles, we'll do a deal with you on trade or A, B, C, and D, but you need to extradite this pedophile, you need to arrest this prince because he's trafficking children and he's also funding our corrupt politicians. If you don't think President Trump is making these deals to break up elite pedophile rings and to get all these disgusting people arrested around the world, you're a fool. President Trump has not, under President Trump's presidency, have we not only seen a record number of pedophiles being arrested. He's not just doing it in the United States, you guys. He is breaking up global child sex trafficking networks. This child pornographer, child sex trafficker, and pedophile who has dual citizenship with the United States and Ireland, who was in Ireland, you guys, he was extradited within a week of the president of Ireland coming to DC and visiting President Trump in the White House. Pieces coming together. So again, it's frustrating because President Trump is not getting any credit for any of this. No one reports on how he was taking down pedophiles. No one is reporting on how he's breaking up these horrific child sex trafficking rings. This man is saving... Hold on, you guys. Okay. He is saving... he's probably already saved millions of kids, literally. And no one's giving him any credit for it. No one's reporting it. You know what they're reporting? They're reporting about how I'm lying about it. There are actual articles that have quoted my article saying that President Trump breaking up child sex trafficking rings is a myth. Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. Anyway, so these stories, unfortunately, his Department of Justice and the White House releases press releases on what all the things they're doing with child sex trafficking, and no one gives it any airtime. No one talks about it. No one connects the dots. But that's fine, because I'm doing it for you guys, and I know you guys are going to spread the message. And I've been saying this for well over 2 years now. I've been saying that there will come a point where the mainstream media will be forced to tell the truth, and that's already happening. They covered up Nexium for so long, now they have to admit, because there's a trial, that, oops, yeah, they were trafficking kids. Same thing's going to happen with Pizzagate. Same thing's going to happen with the Clinton Foundation. They're going to have to eventually admit that all this stuff is real. And then finally, maybe I can walk down the street and not be cast as a conspiracy theory. Finally, maybe my parents can go throughout their day with having one of their friends call them and like, oh, the mainstream media says your daughter's a nut and she's losing it and she's a conspiracy theory. Is she okay? Maybe finally we can all have a normal life. Until then, we'll just keep fighting and enjoying the show. So that's all I got for tonight. And look for Ray Chandler in the news. I pray it's this week. The sooner she's in the news, the sooner all these disgusting child rapists go down. All right, guys. Take care. Thanks for watching.